Welcome back to our next set of up and down matches.
Are you ready for the magic?
Yes.
Okay. The next game is Bomber against Mana, and I just went through the entire matches that we still have left into the current scores in the groups. This is the ranking as it is right now. Mana leading with a 2-0 over Keen with 2-1. And the next game is Mana against Bomber. So the situation as it is that Mana has to face Bomber and Jakji. If he wins either one of these maps, he is guaranteed a spot in Codes. This is only true because Bomber and Keen have to face each other in the last game that they play. So what could happen is that we have a little bit of a situation where both of them advance with have a 3-1. So Mana has to win one map, that's all he needs to do. If he loses both games, then he is on 2-2, and then we could actually have a situation in the tournament where we have a three-way tie. So if Mana wins one map, he's through. He's in Codes. For Bomber, of course, he needs to win at least one. If Mana, for example, if he's for example in a tie situation, it would most likely be with Keen. It could also be with Jan, depending on the result between Jan and Jakji later. So for Bomber, it's also important to win this game. But even if he loses, he still has a shot. Basically, everyone has a good shot if Mana is the one who dominates the group and gets all the wins.
Yeah, well, let's see if he can take out Bomberman and take that Code S spot here right now at the Up and Down matches for Season 4 of 2012's Hot 6 GSL.
Alright guys, here we go. I hope that the little bit of group analysis was not too confusing and then we got the gist. To the right side of the map we have the Terran player for the StarTale team. He won a game, he lost one, and this is his third match. He's up against the Protoss, but his idea is of course
StarTale Bomber.
Our Korean Terran player for the StarTale team was able to edge out a win against Jakji, lost earlier to Hyun. And now he is up against the Protoss, the left side of the map. The European player, he comes from Poland. Protoss, 2-0 in the group. His name is
Mana.
And with another win, he would be in Codes.
Yep, and he's looking good so far. This is a very different map than Ohana.
Once again,
control it the same way he did there.
Once again, I actually talked a little bit with him about the last match that he played. Do you remember when we mentioned why he doesn't build any pylons, even though he had so much supply? He actually said that he was so nervous that he forgot to build pylons the entire time. So even though he performed really well and you could not really tell, he seems to be quite affected by the play in the booth, but somehow he gets it together whenever it really counts, and that really comes through for him. But yeah, he actually joked about this nearly happening run-by with the Zerglings, and he's like, no! Calder will not be able to make fun of me and drop the force field. But yeah, we had quite a lot of fun when I just visited him in the booth and talked. He actually said that on this map he wants to go for a very, very fast expansion. He actually thinks about doing the expansion without gas. So going straight for a fast Nexus.
He is, actually, because there's no simulator taken.
Exactly. And his transition later, he rather wants to go for Colossi first, wants to try to fake Bomber out a little bit, and then once again go straight for Storm. That's at least his game plan going into this match. But as we said earlier, even if you have a game plan, if things change and if something happens, of course you have to adjust accordingly.
Bomber with a very fake bunker here, aggressively on scouting the Nexus.
If you defend against a bunker play like this, of course not this time it's fake, but you need to select your probe and then you need to shift right click several times on the harvester that is building the bunker. The reason being that then your own harvester, your unit Zergling, whatever you send to take down the worker, will always follow the SCV even if he shifts pattern. If you don't do it, your SCV...
as soon as it gets confused, it just stops. And that's so true, actually. That's a tip that everybody should use.
Do you know Harsteam from Fnatic?
Yes.
He actually said that he had no idea about this until he heard it in a cast. Until the casters mentioned it, and then he was like, oh, well, really, that's true? And then he tried it himself and was like, oh, cool, that can help me a lot.
Yeah, I actually try to mention that as much as possible. Ooh, look at this. There's a third Command Center, Sneak Command Center by Bomber.
That's something that I certainly did not expect, and I don't think Mana will either. The question is, does he scout for it?
Yeah, this is a bit of an MMA move. MMA known for doing things like this in this matchup. Jakji as well, actually, but Bomber is taking a huge risk here, but the thing is, if it's not scouted, then it becomes not risky. So we'll see what Mana does with scouting. If he gets a good reaction, if he starts to figure out his opponent has too many units for what's going on, then he'll start to look for it. But there's no reason otherwise to start searching.
I really like this move by Bomber. I have to say that especially in a best-of-1 scenario, going for something like this is of course a little bit risky, but it's just so cool.
Yeah, he was really annoying with that Marine, by the way, against the Zealot. That was the bravest Marine I've ever seen, trying to fight a Zealot 1v1.
Well, right now we have a double barracks follow-up, of course, for Bomber, and Mana currently, he has these double gates, going for the second gas as well, but the big story will be if he's able to scout this third base. And on a map like this, which is so huge, how likely is it that he really sends something over?
Well, it's extremely unlikely, you know, and Bomber has done something really cool, which is, of course, taking this expansion, but everything else he's shown has been extremely aggressive. Even poking with one of his Marines, he did the fake bunker. I think he's trying to get into Mana's head here a little bit, make him think that, alright, what is Bomber doing?
Mana analyzed the style of Bomber, and he had a few bots and replays that he could look at. And he said that in this matchup, what Bomber did in the recent past, especially on a map like Metropolis, is most of the time just go for a macro game. Not playing overly aggressive, and that's what he kind of hopes for now. But the question is going to be, as soon as he has his robotics and the observer, just now building the robotics facility, will he send out the observer to the top right as well, or will he not spot this expansion?
Yeah, that is the question, man. And will he just run his Stalkers up there? He did a crazy amount of scouting and running around the map with his Stalkers on Ohana, and he may do something just like this after he comes and hits this bunker.
Yeah, right now, all that he wants to do is put on a little bit of like fake pressure, doing a bit of poking here. Nice position. Actually forces Bomber to cancel his bunker, but will he really scout?
Yeah, well,
oh, if he does, that would be so awesome.
He checks for the third base, but no, he's not going to scout yet. He's actually working on these rocks. Well, he thought about it. He was like, actually, I don't think this benefits me. It might make things worse for me. Thought about it for a second.
Yeah, now we have already Stim for Bomber. Bomber, of course, wants to play just defensive. Here's the one, the robotics bay that Mana talked about. Let's see if he really sticks with this one Colossus, and then they can transition into the High Templar.
The scan barely missed it as well, so he's not in the know about this.
Which is actually a really bad situation for Mana right now, because he wants to fake Bomber out.
And he's going to have to pull these Stalkers back, not making the same mistake as he did on Hana. Actually reacts, immediately saves the Stalkers.
The Harvester count is now still in favor of Mana, but this is going to change very soon with Bomber building 3 SCVs at the time, and now, of course, also having the triple mule.
Yeah, Bomber is getting a crazy lead in income right now with that third orbital. Plus, with his timing of his starport here, if he scouts this in time, he actually will have the ability to make double Vikings. But like you said, this is kind of an interesting situation considering that Mana wants him to scout it and Bomber hasn't scouted, so neither of these things are going to hold true.
The double forge is now in position, and let's see how Mana is going to transition out of this. Is he really sticking with the one Colossus and then starts his Twilight Council and the Templar Archive? The Observer has not spotted what is going on there at the top of the map, so Mana is not in the know what's going on here, and it does not look like he's really trying to spot this. He has the Observers on hold position and is just now having a good look at the rocks.
Yeah, he wants to he just wants to see any drops that might move out, but he's not concerned yet about the idea of a third command center.
And Mana is now going for the Twilight Council. He is not getting staying the Thermal Lance, and he said earlier that he is not trying to hit a specific timing here. He will attack when an opportunity arises. The problem with the builds that we see is, though, that this opportunity might arise when he's already too far behind, and Bomber has made good use of the third base that he hit at the top of the map. Upgrades are now in favor of Mana, who is currently going for +1/+1 and hitting those Chrono boosts. The rocks are gone, and Mana is going to expect the third base now. Whereas the Templar Archive is just now being built, still no idea about what is going on, and with the 2 dropships, Bomber is now moving out and can do a bit of pressure play.
Yeah, this is going to be kind of dangerous. This is a map where, like Antigua Shipyard and Shakura's Plateau, there's a huge amount of space to elevator into the base, and just a lot of drop area. There is actually just one spot.
Wow. The Ghost Academy for Bomber. He's not being faked out at all by this one Colossus.
There's just one spot where Bomber can actually approach and get into the main base without taking Stalker Fire, but it's so close to the natural whereas Colossus is, he's not actually going to be able to do damage here. He wants to scare him and probably force a cancel on the third Nexus, at least check for it. Mana is making that third Nexus right now, but he spots the move out with his Observer. Great scouting, great map awareness, and Bomber's not able to make this work.
Bomber is going straight for the double Viking. Did he cancel his... No, he didn't cancel the Ghost Academy.
Catch all here.
That
He's
was
just doing everything.
Yeah, that would have been really surprising, but it just finished when he saw the Bone Colossus, and I was actually worried. Here comes the Doom drop. Let's see if Bomber is able to do what Keen did on Ohana.
Yeah, the Doom drop is a problem for Mana, who in 3 games in a row may face losing all of his production, but he's got his Stalkers ready, and they're well spread. His ground army will be able to get there in time once he sees this, and you know, this is the one thing he has not seen with his Observers just yet. This is going to be so critical. How fast will he react? Where will his units be? I think he will be able to defend this. And how much will Bomber lose? Because if he loses all these 4 medevacs without doing a lot of damage, then he's going to be in awkward position. He's going for an attack from the side. And this is, Mana's not going to expect this many units this fast because he doesn't know about the 3rd command center.
We have Storm done. This could help him. How many High Templars does he have? Only 2 of them. +2/+2 upgrades. Here comes the drop. He sees it. But it's a little bit too late, or is it? He's moving in, trying to take this down, but he has to move back here.
And the units on the right side as well come into the 3rd base. He warps in a few Zealots, but only 3, and they're not going to be enough. The question is, will the Storms be good? And so far they are.
The second one does not really hit, though. In the main base, we have a few units still being chased down by Mana's army, but the 3rd base, that is where the action happens right now, as Bomber is moving in and tries to take it down. The drop once again occurring. Bomber retreated, but is now dropping the 2nd set of units.
Nexus goes down, and the units in the main base are picked off. Mana decides to split himself really well here, knowing that he cannot save the Nexus.
But he needs to take down the units at the bottom right. They're all so low in hit points. If he actually gets off another storm, that would be brilliant, but I don't think that he will be there in time.
No, it looks like he is going to go back home, and he's going to be able to heal these units up, making them extremely efficient here.
He is 70 supply behind his opponent already. This is looking really grim for Mana. He has the upgrades on +2/+2 nearly done, but Bomber, on the other hand, he's going for a +3 attack already.
Bomber with the real 3rd base now, or the base that Mana can see with the Observer.
It's basically his 4th, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is the 3rd base that Mana expected long ago, and I think Mana may have an idea now of what's going on. He's going to be a little bit confused about the amount of units Bomber sent him in 2 different locations.
It's a great mind game by Bomber, and so far it really works well for him with 110 supply against 200. Mana finds himself not only in an awkward position, but in a really tough one. Bomber has every advantage that you can have right now. He has a great economy, of course, and he has the tech as well. He already has the Mirbis reactor. He's preparing with ghosts. Even the +2 attack timing for the Vikings.
Look at the well, as I said this, a bunch of things just finished, but if you look at the production tab, you can see that his is like twice as long as Mana's because he just has all the minerals in the world. He's dumping into this. He's now maxed. He's building a bank, whereas Mana has almost 100 supply to go for that. And holding this next wave of units is going to be virtually impossible. The ghost count is actually only at 5, and only 3 with his main army right now. He's going to need those to make this really efficient.
Look at the number of orbitals that we currently have been built. Command centers, of course. 5 in total. And now, if he moves in, if he takes down the 3rd again, then this is already curtains.
Not a lot of Stalkers to take out these ghosts, but the Zealots close the distance.
This is too much DPS already. In the main base, we have the drop. Mana is looking at a tough Terran army to beat, and I don't think he'll be able to do it.
Storms are important here, but he pulls back exactly right in time, pulls back the 2nd time. Run out of that storm energy, comes into attack. There's no more storms available, and in the main base, he has no answer. The Colossus falls, and this will be Mana's first loss in Up and Down's GG.
The game is over, and Bomber and Mana, they are now tied as the Terran player takes game number... Well, it's the only game that we have. We have only a best of 1 here. And Mana, of course, will have a close look at the replay and also talk to his brother about what exactly happened here. But right now, we have 3 players who are at a 2-win and 1-loss score. Mana, Bomber, and Keen.
And yeah, we could have a crazy tie situation develop here depending on who beats who. And our next map is going to be Hyun against Jakji. It's a tough map for Jakji. We talked about this before. He's already down 2 games. He has to play on Whirlwind, a huge map against the Zerg player who knows how to use big maps to his advantage, loves to make a lot of lings. He could do something tricky as well because he knows that Jakji's probably preparing for the style that he normally sees, but if Hyun attacks with a bunch of Banelings, which he has done in the past, but not as much recently, that could catch Jagchi off guard because he may be thinking, well, it's a huge map, he's not going to attack me on a map like this, like that.
And now we have, I can already tell you one player that will definitely end up in Code S. It's either it's going to be Former or Keen, because they have to face each other later on. Both of them are on a 2-1 map score, so whoever wins this will definitely advance to Code S. It's one of the two. And then we could still have a situation with a lot of ties, depending on who wins, with Mana having the possibility on ending up with 2-2, Bomber having the possibility of ending up. Basically, every player that is currently still in the group has still a good shot at ending up at a 2-2 scenario.
Yeah. Very possible. We've seen this before in the past with players like Marine King being in a situation like Jagchi's in now, and then somehow, some way, getting back into things.
You know what's kind of funny is also that we talked about the loser in the last game about Mana. He has the last map today. So he will have a chance. You talked about it earlier, actually, that sometimes it's not in your own hands if you are advancing or not. But Mana having the last match of the day actually has a good chance of determining his own fate.
Exactly. That's actually a really good point. Jagchi looking a little bit disappointed in the booth, actually. You can see that he's kind of leaning his head to the side a little bit, doesn't look very pleased. Hyun, on the other hand, looking a little bit more confident, I would say.
This is the last, or the most important game for both of them. If they win, doesn't matter who wins, he still has a shot. He has a small chance to advance. But if they lose, whoever loses here is out.
Yeah, they're just going to be kind of like a sandbag player that the rest of the players have to face in order to get out of the group. And players are all in the lobby. We are going to start the game here. A big map, a tough map for Jagchi, who's down 0-2. He needs a victory here.
So does Hyun. He has 2 losses, only 1 win. The map is going to be...
It's Whirlwind.
It's Whirlwind indeed. And here we go, ladies and gentlemen. The up and downs brought to you by Calder and Wolf for the next game between Zerg and a Terran. We have Hyun up against Jagchi.